You didn't find this video by chance. You were guided here because God has something to remind you. Deep down, you've always felt different. A quiet restlessness, a sense that you were meant for something greater. That empty feeling you sometimes carry, even surrounded by people. That's not weakness, it's a sign. God is calling you. You don't need a title to be chosen. This calling is born in the Spirit. It's for those who can't settle for the surface. You were made for more. You may have doubted your worth, thought no one sees you, but God sees you, always has. And now He's reminding you, you are chosen, not because you're perfect, but because you're His. So if you've ever felt set apart for something greater, you're not alone. This is your awakening. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's walk this path together. There's more coming in His time. Sometimes the calling comes with pain. You try to fit in, follow the crowd, meet expectations. But something inside you says, this isn't your place. You may have mistaken it for rejection or weakness, even blamed yourself for not adapting. But that feeling of not belonging is proof that you were set apart, not as punishment, but for a purpose. God's chosen ones don't fit the system because they were made for a deeper mission. They see through the surface, feel things intensely, and sense the spiritual. The world may not understand you, even your family might not. It hurts, but it awakens you. That discomfort isn't a flaw. It's God's way of drawing you closer to who you really are. Your sensitivity, intuition, and spiritual awareness aren't accidents. They are divine tools. You're not being excluded, you're being refined, set apart, not for isolation, but for purpose. Every chosen soul faces moments that feel too heavy, deep losses, betrayals, and seasons of darkness. You may have asked, why me? But the truth is, God doesn't spare His chosen from pain. He shapes them through it. The pain you endured wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God allowed certain people to leave and difficult moments to come, not to break you, but to refine you. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. What felt like injustice was part of your transformation. No tear was wasted, no silence was ignored. In the valley, your faith was built. You discovered hidden strength. You learned to truly depend on God. You're not the same person anymore. You're stronger, wiser, more connected to what's real and divine. And surviving with a calling, that alone is a miracle. You may feel disconnected, like no one speaks your language anymore. At first it feels like punishment, but with time you begin to understand. This separation is not rejection, it's preparation. God removes you from noise and distractions so His voice can become clearer. True growth happens in silence and solitude, where God heals, refines, and reveals your true identity. Just like Moses, Joseph, David, and Jesus, all chosen ones go through isolation before stepping into their calling. It's a spiritual pattern. The wilderness is the training ground of those with purpose. Yes, it hurts. It requires surrender and trust in what you cannot see. But this isn't God's absence. It's His intimate presence shaping you for something greater. If you're in that season now, breathe. You're not being forgotten, you're being prepared. And what God is building in silence will one day astonish even you. That restlessness, that feeling something was missing, it was your calling trying to awaken. Recognizing God's call isn't always easy. Most are taught to follow a typical path, study, work, build a family. But when there's a spiritual mission inside you, those things don't satisfy. You may try to live a normal life, but inside you feel empty, like you're pretending while your soul cries out for truth. Looking back, you see the pain, the fresh starts, and silent seasons were all connected, forming a bigger purpose. Sometimes the call comes as sensitivity, compassion, or hidden gifts, things you once overlooked. When you recognize it, a quiet peace and certainty arise, even amid confusion. This path requires courage to stop comparing, to listen to your soul, to accept God's unique plan for you, and to walk by faith, not others' approval. Recognizing your calling means accepting your true self and knowing you were made not for a shallow life, but to touch lives and manifest God's purpose within you. Your calling was always there, just waiting for the right moment to awaken. Set apart, shaped, and prepared because you were chosen. One of the hardest challenges for the chosen is feeling like you don't fit anywhere, always misunderstood, always out of place. It may seem like your tribe doesn't exist yet because you're still being formed. God doesn't bring the chosen together until they walk in their truth. While you tried to fit in the wrong places, God was preparing you, removing those who couldn't support your journey. Now your essence is stronger, your vision clearer, and you're beginning to embrace your true self without fear. Your spiritual tribe, those who've also faced pain and heard the call, will sense you, and your paths will cross at the right time. When chosen ones meet, there's understanding, connection, and no judgment, only acceptance. To find your tribe, keep being yourself, with courage, authenticity, and faith. Walking in your truth doesn't mean being perfect. It's not about having all the answers or always feeling confident. Quite the opposite. It's about allowing yourself to be real, embracing who you truly are, accepting your flaws, doubts, gifts, and emotions, all of it together, without needing to prune yourself to fit into small spaces. God's chosen carry a light, but that light truly shines only when a person stops trying to conform to the world and starts aligning with who God called them to be. Have you tried to fit in? Tried to please others? Tried to be who they expected? And what did you gain? Exhaustion, frustration, emptiness. Because every time you stepped away from your essence, something inside you died a little. Now it's time to go home. To return to yourself, to return to the truth. And this journey isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it requires distancing yourself from places where you were accepted, but only as long as you stayed silent. Sometimes it means breaking free from family patterns, old habits, and limiting beliefs you've carried since childhood. But this process is exactly what leads you back to your freedom. Walking in truth means stopping the apologies for being sensitive, for feeling deeply, for seeing beyond. It means no longer dimming your own light to avoid bothering those still living in darkness. It means moving from mere survival to living with purpose. And truth has power. It attracts what is real. It repels what is false. When you align with it, life begins to fall into place. The right connections appear, the right doors open, and the burdens you carried disappear, because the spiritual universe moves in favor of those who walk honestly before God. Of course, not everyone will understand. Some people will distance themselves and say you've changed, and that's okay. They simply can't connect with your frequency anymore. No problem. Those who need to stay will stay. Those who need to go with a blessing, because now you won't betray yourself just to keep others close. You're ready for this new season. A season where your voice has space, where your gifts have value, where your presence has purpose. And it all begins with a choice to be faithful to the truth God planted inside you. Have you ever stopped to wonder why you feel so much? Why you notice things no one else seems to? Why you're so affected by environments, words, and vibrations? This is not weakness, not exaggeration. It's a gift. God's chosen are born with a unique sensitivity, a heightened perception, a kind of spiritual radar that senses what lies beyond the surface. While many are distracted by appearances, noise, and the rush of life, you sense what is subtle, unseen, and carry within you a wisdom that didn't come from books, but from the soul. These gifts are spiritual blessings, but unfortunately, the world has taught many to hide them. From an early age, we're told that feeling too much is weakness, that being a dreamer is foolish, and that being different is wrong. So many of us spend our lives trying to be normal, suffocating our own gifts just to avoid rejection. But now, you've reached a point in your journey where you understand what you carry is uncommon, and it wasn't given to you by chance. Your gift might be in the way you listen to others, in your ability to comfort, to transform pain into words, to see beauty where no one else does, to find meaning in chaos, to heal with a touch, a look, or your presence. Some have the gift of speech, others writing, others art, others faith, and some the gift of silent service. All these gifts are valid. There's no such thing as a small gift. What exists is a gift ignored and therefore wasted. But when you begin to recognize and honor what's within you, everything changes. Gifts are like seeds. If you bury them and forget them, they die. But if you care for them, water them, and expose them to sunlight, they bloom, multiply, and bless lives. And here's the most important point. The gifts you carry are the tools God gave you to fulfill your purpose. They're not just for you. They're meant to touch others, to heal, to inspire, to awaken. You are a channel. The more you surrender to what was placed inside you, the more your light reaches those who need it. Even if you don't yet know exactly how to use this gift, don't ignore it. Don't doubt it, because the direction will come along the way. God doesn't reveal everything at once. He gives you the gift and calls you to trust. The rest He builds with you. If you feel there's something special inside you, believe it. There really is. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't coincidence. It was a calling, a choice, a purpose. And the world needs this. The world needs awakened, aligned people. People conscious of what they carry. The world needs you, whole and complete. Getting here wasn't easy. You had to lose many things to find yourself. You had to endure the pain of rejection, the weight of silence, the incessant truth inevitably leads to purpose. Purpose isn't a fancy title, a high position, or a perfect life. Purpose is about serving, impacting, moving, and fulfilling the mission God entrusted to you in the unique way only you can. This encounter with purpose doesn't happen in a magical moment. It is gradually revealed as you allow yourself to live more authentically. Often, it arises from your own pain. What hurt you, broke you, almost made you give up, that is exactly where your purpose begins to bloom, because the purpose of the chosen is born from scars. Have you noticed how your story can heal someone? How your presence can bring peace? How what once felt like destruction now gives you authority to speak with wisdom. This is no coincidence. It's God showing you that nothing was in vain. Every step brought you here. The nights you cried in secret, the days you were misunderstood, the relationships that ended, the cycles that broke, the doors that closed, all were pushing you to a specific place. The place where you truly understand why you are here. And the most beautiful part is that when this encounter happens, life gains a new rhythm. Things that once held you back no longer make sense. The need to please, to prove yourself, to fit in, all lose their power because now you know who you are and why you came. When you live with purpose, your energy changes. You no longer need to shout. You don't have to convince anyone. Your life itself becomes a living message, and those who need to find you will find you on that frequency. Purpose is not just about what you do, it's about how you do it with the right heart. It could be on a stage, in a classroom, behind a store counter, or caring for someone. What matters is being aligned with the spiritual mission God placed inside you. You were not chosen by accident. You are not here by chance. And if everything you've experienced so far felt too heavy, it's because what's coming needs someone exactly like you. Sensitive, mature, awakened, whole. The encounter with purpose isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. But now you know where you stand. You know who you are. And most importantly, you know whose you are. Truth naturally leads to purpose. Purpose isn't about titles or perfection. It's about serving and fulfilling the mission God gave you uniquely. Purpose is revealed gradually, often emerging from your pain and scars. Your story, presence, and wisdom heal and inspire others. Nothing you've experienced was in vain. When you meet your purpose, life takes on new meaning. The need to please or fit in fades because you know who you are and why you're here. Living with purpose changes your energy. You don't need to prove yourself. Your life speaks for itself. Purpose isn't about where you serve, but how. With the right heart and alignment to God's mission. You weren't chosen by chance. The challenges you faced prepared you for what's ahead.